guys, welcome back to Yoga with Adele. And today we are looking at another Foundations of Yoga pose called Side Angle Pose. And we have our special guest, Jill, who hopefully will behave and not meow too much during this session. Okay, so all you're going to need is your mat, and if you do have one, a yoga block, just to try one of the variations, but if not, please don't worry, you'll be absolutely fine. So the first thing we want to do to set up this pose is just to take the feet a little wider, just like we did if you did do the Foundations of Yoga pose for Warrior 2 or for Triangle pose. We take the feet broadly in line with the wrist creases, and this is just a guide. So if you've done those ones, remember that you'll take your arms out, you'll take your feet just under the wrist creases, but it's just a guide. So if that really feels like your feet are kind of too far apart and you're like, I don't feel comfortable, I feel like I'm gonna do the splits, then feel free to wiggle them in. It's just a guide. Some people come into it and they think their feet are nice and wide and are kind of really narrow. So have that intention of feet under wrist creases, just an intention. And so for now, our feet are pointing towards the long edge of the mat. You can bring your arms down for now. And then you're going to turn your right toes all the way around. So turn your right toes to point to the short edge of your mat. So right toes to the short edge of the mat. Now you may notice, because we've left our left toes pointing forwards, that this kind of strange sensation of, well, I can't really point that there and point that there. For some people, will start to pull here, and it'll start to feel like your hips are kind of being pulled in opposite direction. And for some people, you may not have noticed that you were standing with your toes slightly out rather than forward. So if you were, then this is going to be even more exaggerated. So one of the things I always tell people in class is just have a look down at those left toes and turn them in slightly. So angle them in slightly so that this left hip is going to drop in slightly. So the left hip will feel more comfortable coming around with the right hip, because there's not a lot of movement in this sacrum here, in this joint and in the hip joints, and all around the pelvis it's quite firm. So there's not a lot of movement there, but there is more movement in our thoracic spine. So we want the right knee to be agreeing with the right toes. So to get that to happen, we have to give in a little bit with the back foot. So if you try and create this pose with the left toes pointing forwards and the right toes pointing to the side, you can create some strain and injury here. So let those toes come in a bit. And then bend the right knee. So just go ahead and bend the right knee. Really check here that your knee is not caved in. Check that you're pressing through the outer thigh of the right foot. So you're pressing into the little toe side of the right foot. If you press down through that little toe, then this will it will just automatically pull this knee into alignment. You don't really have to even worry about it. So press through all four corners of your foot there. You can bend and straighten it a couple of times. You'll feel a stretch down the back of the left leg as you do that. Keep the back toes anchored down, so try not to let those lift. If this feels too much, this is where you might need to hop the back foot in slightly. If it doesn't feel very much and you're like, oh, it feels, like I'm not really doing very much, you can take it back. So you want a nice deep bend in this right leg. You'll start to feel those thigh muscles switching on. And then a lot of people forget the back leg and they let the back knee bend here, so it kind of collapses. So press the front of that left thigh, press it into the back of the thigh. So front of the thigh pushes into the back of the thigh. And then our legs are set. Thinking about the spine. So as I said, there's more movement in the spine. So bring your spine just around to face front for now. And have it nice and tall. So elegant lift through the crown of the head. Tuck the tailbone under, slightly pull the ribs in so that you're not poofing out the chest and arching the back. So pull the ribs in a little bit. And then start to lean over with your spine. So keeping your spine nice and straight. So that means not rounding your back. See a lot of people rounding the back. Keep the spine long and just start to tilt. So your spine is straight. Can you see from the top of my head all the way down to the back toes? It's nice and straight. From here, we can just drop the right elbow onto the thigh. Now, we want to not collapse into this right shoulder, because another thing that people do is to let the shoulder come up to the ear and kind of go, ah, oh, and take a nice chill out here on the leg. So press yourself up, pull yourself up. So you bring your chest, your heart up, 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 crown of the head lifts, left hand on the left thigh for now. We're taking ourselves up out of that bottom hand. We're just using it as a little bit of support. And then we can reach the left arm up. So we're reaching through those left fingers, and we can turn the head now just to look up at that hand. Good. Breathe. Make sure you're pressing into all four corners of your front foot and your back foot. So you want to try and pull this left shoulder back so that your left arm and shoulder is reaching up and back. Can you see? So not forwards, spiraling the left ribs up to the ceiling. So think about those left ribs going up, up, up. And then we can take the left hand on a diagonal, finally over the head. So that's the last piece to add on, just over the head, and the left fingertips are long. Breathe. Now we can just turn to look under that left armpit. One more breath. We'll be feeling it now in the legs, so we'll do the other side, bringing yourself all the way up. And we can bring the block into play on the other side if you want it, just so we can try to even it out and to take a little rest from all the weight on that leg. Let's come back up to this position. So arms out straight, pulling the shoulders back and down, just aligning your wrists with your feet, just roughly, bringing your hands back down. And then here we go, start to turn your left toes all the way out. Remember the right toes, check in, are they splaying out? Are they straight forward? Is that okay for you? Bringing them in slightly. If you've got normal hips, not extremely open hips, you probably need to just bring them back in a little bit. And then play with bending that left knee, straightening it, check that it's tracking forwards over the toes. Find length in the spine. Find your leg position. And like we said with Warrior 2, we roughly line the heel with the instep, with the arch, but that might be different for everyone. So you can play around with this back foot as well and just find the best position for you. Start to pivot with your spine, so you're keeping that core connection, spine, tailbone, ribs, head, all in a straight line. So this pose is really great for building strength in our legs. It's great for that grounding, because we're really grounding all the standing poses. We're making that connection with feet to the earth. But it's also going to be good for our core, because we're using our tummy muscles and our obliques to hold us in this shape. And this is why we're not collapsing in the shoulder here. So make space between that left shoulder and your ear now, and go ahead and reach your right arm up. So find length, pull as if somebody's pulling those right fingers up, so it creates some more space in the body. Breathe. Now this is where if you want to use your block, you can just take that on the inside of that left foot. So instead of finding the thigh with the elbow, you can just drop that hand down. So you see it's not too much of an ask if you've got a nice deep bend in that thigh. If you're a little bit higher up, then you're going to feel like you've got to collapse forward to reach your block. We don't want to do that. So if you find you're folding forwards to reach the block, then please just work on deepening that bend in that leg first, keeping that nice straight spine and reaching up through the right hand until the block just feels like it's there for you. And then we can go ahead and reach the right arm up, reach through the fingertips. Can you see, deepen that bend, Lengthen through the fingers, turn to look under that armpit, breathe for 3. Deep breath into this top rib, 2. Spiraling the right ribs up, up, up to the ceiling, and 1. Beautiful. Coming up when you're ready, turning the toes back around, and let's just take a forward fold, sliding the hands down the legs, halfway lift, soften the knees, and if you've got your block, you can bring your hands to your block just to stretch at the back. If not, allow your knees to be soft and just relax your head down. And when you're ready, heel toe your feet in, bring your hands onto your waist, come all the way up, roll up through your spine, shake it out. Whew, beautiful. Well done, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this next pose in our Foundations of Yoga series. I hope to see you again on another session soon. Please do make sure you like this video and you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and you spread the word and tell other people about these videos in case that they can help them to deepen their yoga poses and just learn a little bit more than sometimes you just learn in a public class. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye for now.